Hello guys, this is my Mardu Madness deck. I wanted to leave some words for it. It was originally meant to be more of an aggro deck. The Tiefling Outcasts and the Rakdos Headliner remind of that. And especially if you can also follow up with a Kitchen Imp. But I played a couple of games and then I realized how good interaction is, and then I added Lightning Axe and Fiery Temper, which used to be in the sideboard before. Because originally I was playing Giganta and Blazing Rootwaller, which you can also play in that spot, especially if you add the Lightning Axe. I think this is a other decent version of the deck, but I think Historic right now actually rewards you so much for adding removal spells, or the other way around, punishes you for not having them, so I felt like it was necessary to at least try this route, and I think it's a little bit better. Okay, so you basically have only discard enablers here, and then some discard outlets. This in a sense is also a discard enabler because you can then reanimate potentially the discarded cards. This is not an ideal card. The great thing about the Forgefire Automaton is that you can still go for ambitious with Crucias when you discard a Kitchen Imp, which is what you often want to do. You can discard at the end step Temper and Imp and still cast it, but I come to that in a second. Okay, so then you have two 4-offs that are not synergistic in that sense, because they are not enablers or discard outlets. Esper Sentinel is just one of the, if not the best creature in Historic, so it makes a lot of sense to still include. I also had Talia originally in there, when I had not a Temper in there. You could technically include it still, but I think there's no place for her. But this is like one-sided, right? It only hits the opponent, and you can buff it with Klement. And then Tiefling Outcasts is one of the best aggressive cards in Historic, maybe even also the best. So the cool thing about the Outcasts in this deck is that you have a number of creatures that get actually buffed by the Outcasts. It targets demons, devils, imps, and tieflings. And this is your devil, this is your imp, this is your tiefling. So that's really cool because Clement and Headliner obviously discard cards, and this is a discard outlet. And this might not seem too good for Historic level, but those cards are actually really strong, I think. A 2-mana 3/3 haste is just not otherwise available in the format, so that's really good. And just Clement into Kitchen Imp is just a really good value play often, because you play your 2-mana 2/2 Lord basically for your hand, and then you pay 2 mana to get the 2/2 zombies, which is decent value by itself, and pay 1 mana to get a 3/3 haste creature. So this is just decent value by itself as something to keep in mind. Then you have other 2 mana discard outlets. One of them is the Dokuchi Silencer. These are added more in the end, so in the beginning of the games it's not in there. But I felt like I wanted even more interaction versus other creature decks, and I am playing Klement, so I really want to try to keep the creature count as high as possible. And this is just one of the only creatures for reasonable mana that actually can remove a creature of the opponent. And hey, it also discards a card, so it's kind of synergistic with the deck. It's not the best option, but I just really felt that I wanted to include another removal spell that ideally is a creature, and it has a small combo with the Kitchen Imp as well, because if you attack with the Imp and the Imp has evasion with flying, then you can bounce it back with the ninjutsu ability of the Silencer and then discard it right away to the other effect of the Silencer, and then Madness cast it for 1 mana still. So that's also something cool you can do, but I can see cutting the Silencer. It's not ideal, but I just felt like I wanted to have even more interaction. Then you have also the Rix Maadi Reveler. This is a card I was really positively surprised of, because I felt like this is maybe not as good. I was also trying this Scrap Work or whatever, Mud, the 2-mana artifact creature in there before, because the cool thing about the Mud is that you can also discard it, which is really useful. But the cool thing about the Rix Maadi Reveler is that it also helps with that kind of issue when you want to discard something, because you can still discard something else than a Madness card, the Lightning Axe or the Rakdos Headliner, because if you then technically run out of cards, you can cast the Rix Maadi Reveler for its spectacle cost and then draw just 3 cards if this is your last card. And Ambergris obviously has a similar effect. The cool thing about Ambergris is that you get to do this each turn when it attacks, so it's a very good card in this deck to include, because it also discards both with its discard and draw main ability, but also if you specialize it for 3. So I think you can definitely go also up to 3 Ambergris, which I was trying in a past version, but I just don't have enough place, I feel like. And yeah, actually do this a couple times in the games to just cast this as your last card for the Spectacle cost. This deck is really very good in attacking and enabling the Spectacle. And yeah, just draw a couple cards. You can also just, if it lines up a lot better, to just cast it for 2 mana and then just draw 1 card. Because it says discard a card and then draw a card. If you have no cards in hand, you can still draw. Then you have, of course, Crucias, Titan of Waves. You can also play this as a 4-off. I originally, as I said, planned this to be a more aggressive deck. I was playing 4 Ambergris and 4 Headliners and stuff like that. I just pivoted to more into a mid-rangier approach with more interaction, and for that, of course, Crucias makes a lot of sense. I probably don't have to explain what this card does, but at the end step you get to discard and get to choose ambitious or expedient, like higher or lower in a sense, and then you get to choose. As I said, this is the main reason why I have the Forgefire Automaton in there, because this lets you then reanimate cards that you have discarded. Maybe you had no mana for the imp or it got removed, then you can even reanimate a 4 mana creature. But it's of course just also good with your 1 and 2 drop, especially like Esper Sentinel profits of that, because the Forgefire buffs it up to its power, which is usually 3, but if you have buffed it also with the Clement before, let's say, then its power is 4, and then it can also like get Crucias or Ambergris. But I often end up sideboarding out the card because our sideboard cards are really good and we are happy for each slot, and we don't necessarily need to go for ambitious when we cast a Kitchen Imp. Then you have, of course, these Madness cards to discard, Fiery Temper, also very nice with Crucias, by the way, because you can, as I said before, discard it at the end step and then use it right away. Same with the Kitchen Imp. The downside then, of course, is that you can't use it for attacking with it right away with its haste ability. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The mana base is pretty decent. We have at least 14 sources of each color in there. Black is the least because we play mostly just Boros cards, but I have a Fatal Push in the sideboard, so you could even technically cast that on turn 1, I think. I wasn't really sure what I want. They all are good in their own way, right? Let's say you're up against Affinity, then you can hit opposing Portable Holes, or like the Retrofitter Foundry, or like a 2 mana and Soul enchantment or something like that. Fatal Push, of course, also great with Crucias if you have that. We only play 3, and I'm not sure, like you can hit CMC 4 cards with this. And Strangle, for example, has the upside that it can also hit CMC 3 creatures often, because most of the time they don't have more than 3 toughness. But all of them deal with Llanowar Elves, which is like the most important thing, I think, to have additional 1 mana interaction spells on the sideboard. But yeah, you can definitely make your own decision when it comes to that. I don't think there's too much graveyard stuff going on in Historic right now, but I think you still should respect it. Whoops, we don't want that. And this makes, of course, sense versus Affinity, one of the best cards. Then you have this card versus mid-rangier decks like Rakdos or Jund, which I found to be really cool because often they don't even have enchantment removal and you just keep drawing creatures each turn, and if you don't cast them, you can also ramp in a sense with the treasure. And then, of course, Hushbringer versus the EDB decks, and Talia makes a lot of sense in the sideboard as well, and I have 1 hand interaction card as the peddler for, let's say, like combo decks or control. But yeah, that's pretty much the deck. I had quite some fun playing it. Obviously, it's not the best deck, but I think it's just able to keep up with enough of the stuff that is going on the ladder right now. So I'd say enjoy some games and see you next time.
I knew you needed my help. It's playtime! best fire starter there is.
This'll be easy. This was a waste of my time.
I knew you needed my help. It's playtime! People start screaming? Today's my lucky day. over when I say it's over.